Welcome back. I'm going to talk about making progress and how, if it's not visible, you should still maintain your motivation. You should still continue with the path you're on. You're doing so well. Not everyone can see the gains that you're making. Not everyone can see all those subtle shifts that you're experiencing on a daily that's really making an incremental difference to where you're headed. I'm going to talk about this today here on my YouTube channel and my Substack. So, welcome. If you haven't already followed or subscribed, then I am the best way to describe me is I'm a holistic person. So, I'm equally intellectual as I am creative. I am in the communication strategic consulting field. I'm also a creative and an artist, and I write and paint and do multiple things. I teach yoga, I practice yoga. I also exist in different sort of very cold, you could say, corporate spaces. So for me, I find that I'm always bridging the gap and joining the dots and being on a personal self development journey has sometimes felt a bit weird because I'm not purely just focused on the one thing. And I'm always looking to join dots that might not necessarily make sense to other people. But for me, I always seem to find the through line, especially when I have more faith in myself and I'm not following someone else's formula or someone else's idea of success. Because remember, the shoulds of what you should be doing and how you should be living are all determined by things like family, cultural norms, society, Instagram feeds. And you've got to ask yourself, like, what makes you feel really good? If you woke up in the morning and you wanted to do the thing that you love and do it the way that you love, that you would experience the most ease and flow and contentment in, what would that look like? Just jot it down if you like right now. Like, what would you do as soon as you rolled out of bed? What does your bedroom look like? What would you eat first? Would you do any movement? What kind of movement would you do? Would you take a swim in your pool? If you don't have a pool, that's fine, write it down. So you've got to build your own life. You've got to articulate your own sense of success. And when you're doing that, your progress will be invisible to others because, as far as they're concerned, they don't see you the way you should be in terms of what they deem to be successful. You are doing things according to your idea of the best life. And what I've found since I've been really committed to this journey now in my late 40s, that I am witnessing, observing, and enjoying the kind of progress that I don't really think I was experiencing before, because it just feels so much more meaningful now. But it's invisible to others, yet it's very visible to me. So, little things, and I want to talk about all of them because they mean so much. Since I returned to my daily practice of yoga, like no matter what, I'll do my morning vinyasa flow yoga, and it's been nearly 4 or 5 months. And prior to that, I would do an occasional practice, but always one practice per day, usually after a little gym workout and definitely before bed, like a bedtime yoga practice. But doing a dedicated morning yoga flow where it's strengthening as well as stretching has been my go to. And witnessing the subtle muscle memory returning and holding certain postures more comfortably and building strength in areas that a typical dumbbell, lift wouldn't create has been just incredible. Like I'm just like, oh, I love this. This is incredible. But for like the 3 4 months that I was doing it, I didn't think that. I was perhaps a lot of the time frustrated. I thought, I'm not experiencing the kind of wins and the gains and the progress that I really want. But now and then there'll be a real sense of clarity, and it will feel like, oh, This is what I'm doing it all for. This so makes sense. This is for me. This is a path I'm on. This is what works for me. There's another one. So I started to have much more faith in myself, my vision, and trust my various outlets. And I had to do away with a lot of the judgment, the cultural judgment growing up of being a jack of all trades and not being consistent and not being responsible and all this nonsense that I kept hearing, which actually caused me to become quite frustrated and fickle, because then I would sabotage myself and do the thing that was making me inconsistent. As in, I would begin to display a pattern of behavior that reinforced that opinion of me, which is just tragic. It's really rubbish, because you internalize it and then you fight against it. And, that's a lot of resistance. You need the path of least resistance. So, since I stopped caring about what other people think, even if I get sometimes offended, annoyed, or upset when I do hear them spout their nonsense quite freely, since I sort of started to trust myself more, understand my neurodivergence, and uh, invest in myself every single day and put myself first, given how much of myself I give to my daughter and to my daily duties and obligations. As soon as I made that massive shift and became sort of in an unnegotiable way, I'm investing in myself and I'm doing what I feel is right, things have shifted extraordinarily and through pain. So it's that whole thing about, a rose growing out of concrete has definitely been a really good way to describe this growth that I'm experiencing. It's invisible to everyone, but it's so visible to me. I feel it and it's so good. And it's not an obvious one. So it's not like an obvious, like, oh, I went down from a size 14 to an 8, when I did it in a really visible way and everyone could see. And part of my ego was like, yeah, I'm so different, but mentally, perhaps I wasn't. Now, getting fit again and doing it in such a sensible and sustainable way and feeling stronger than I've ever felt before, regardless of how much I weigh, is just incredible. And then choosing not to share a lot of my successes and wins with other people because they don't get it, they don't appreciate it, is also giving myself that respect and giving myself that, I would say, space to experience this without the interference from others, without the interjections from others. And having that sort of trust in myself and having that, I would say, care for self is massive progress. So again, no one would see that, but you would feel it. Those are two examples. The third example would be um, establishing multiple sources of community building and revenue is something I've been wanting to do for so long, and I've managed to hack it. And it requires daily input and investment, but I'm doing it. And it took a little bit of time, but now I've established it and growing it. It feels so excellent. There's no viral moments. There's nothing viral about it, but there's a slow build. And as the slow build is happening, I'm also refining and developing and maturing in a different way, emotionally as well as mentally, even though I'm like in my late 40s now. And then choosing to study a postgrad Masters in Science course at this stage has also been a great investment. And so as I'm growing, learning, evolving, I see things coming together bit by bit by bit. And it just feels like this kind of divine movement of parts. And I'm just very present to that movement each day. That's a massive one. Like, these are massive progressions that are subtle for us, invisible to others. And it's okay. It's great if you have community or people around you that you can speak to using this language. But if you feel that people around you aren't going to sort of understand it or appreciate it, because they only really appreciate whether or not you have a new car, or you've been on a fancy holiday, or whether you have new outfits, or the materialistic things. Then they're not going to get it. If they don't understand how important sort of the self progression, agency, creativity, independence is, if they don't understand how important it is to learn and grow and fuel your mind, and practice being in the present moment in a multitude of ways, and they don't get it, they won't get it. If they don't experience that, and if they don't get it, it's because they don't live like that. So of course they're not going to get you, and you're not going to get them. You don't want their life, so why do you need their opinion? As in, they'll share their opinion, but it shouldn't matter really, because you don't want their life anyway. They provide you with unsolicited advice or comments, but you don't want their life anyway. You don't want what they have and in the way that they have it, because you're building different, because you're built different. You are you. And so when you become so aware of that, your progress and your steps are going to be very different and invisible to them, but known to the ones who are the real ones like you, because we're all, I suppose, in our own way, our own sort of cup of tea, no one else's. So it's only really those who are on the similar path and frequency to you who are going to appreciate what you're up to. And by not being judgmental about it, we can just, that's them. Let them, because they are. And I'm not doing the whole Mel Robbins let them, because I've heard the let them thing for decades. It's been around for a long time. But on the whole, if you're building independently, if you're building alone, then you are mostly concerned with yourself, and you're not going to get into the habit of focusing on what others are doing. So I am going to now shoot off, and I just wanted to say thank you for following me on my Substack. If you're new to me, and also YouTube is awesome, and I'll be coming back more and more to do these, because it's been wonderful to be able to document my process as I build this new life. And it's a great reminder to myself that there is progress, things are moving, things are changing in the right direction. If no one else can see it, you've got to see it for yourself, so you can reflect it back to yourself. And that's the big message for this piece of content. I hope you're good, and I'll see you in the next one.